So InDesign, we're going to start with a letter size document. Also, don't forget, real quick, on our desktop or on your thumb drive, let's create a folder for today's class, GRC 30_250129. So I created mine on my desktop, but you should be saving it onto your thumb drive. And if not, at least if you're putting it on your desktop, make sure you're backing it up to cloud. I think Cindy, they did something to your computer and your work disappeared, right? That's a fun journey.
Again.
Again. All right, with our folder created, now let's go ahead and name this file. InDesign does this really cool thing where if it crashes, it does incremental backups of your work as you're going, which is really nice because if you crash and you've got a gigantic file that maybe it's been an hour since you've saved, InDesign is keeping a backup copy of that. The only time that occasionally goes haywire is when you don't name the file and you start off with untitled. It may or may not save that work for you as you're going. So always our first step should be to name and save our file as soon as we get started. So I'm going to click File and Save. And I'm going to navigate to my desktop, to my GRC 30_250129 folder. And I'm going to name this file GRC 30_250129, and then this is our lecture, LECT _ your last name _ first initial. Oh, weird. I just found a shortcut that I never knew about. Command plus expands the view on the Save As window. All right, so I'm going to save that. So just to make sure we're all on the same page, that's a funny joke. If we click up here in the upper right-hand corner, this is our Workspace Navigator. It allows us to define or re-establish the layout of this program for a specific purpose. So if we're going to work on a book, we would choose book. That will change our panels accordingly. If we're doing typography, that will change our panels accordingly. If we're doing interactive PDF, again, we're going to get a different set of panels that are designed to help us accomplish that particular specific task. Now, for us, we're definitely going to be using some of these at some point in the future, but we're going to continue to work off of Essentials Classic. So if you click on Essentials Classic, yours is going to look different than mine. And what I want you to do is just click on the navigator again, that drop down, and choose Reset Essentials Classic. And yes, I know we've done this a couple times, but it's good for us to revise and revisit this so we can get comfortable working with these panels and moving them around. First thing I'm going to do is the CC library, so we're not really going to use that right now. So I'm going to click on this tab and pull it away from that grouping. Did you all see that? Okay. And then we're going to expand these guys. So I'm going to click the little double chevron there, the double less than sign. Okay. And this is, now we're set up for what we're going to be working on for today. And what I'd like you to do is, and again, we've also done this again, is I want to name this workspace. So if you're not on the same computer that you were last time we did this, your workspace name won't be there. But if you do happen to get on that computer and you've signed in successfully, you should see your named workspace there. So we're going to just create a new one with your name. Just go ahead and do your first name. And make sure the 2 check marks available are checked. And then click OK. Now, as we edit this, and when I say edit this, I'm referring to the panel layouts. Those layout changes in the panels will get applied to that profile, or that workspace profile that we've created with your name on it. Now, if you decide that, oh, I messed something up, I accidentally, have the panels all bonkers, and I want to go back to where I was at. So you can click that and reset your workspace. So that's the advantage of having one that's our name, because we can always go back to a point in time where we were happy with it. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and, again, we're going to do a quick review. So I'm going to drag a text area out. I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to choose fill with placeholder text. And that creates a little lorem ipsum action for us. All right, now I can create another text area right next to it. And if I move back to my selection tool, so in the toolbar here on the left, I click the black arrow, or the black Star Trek symbol, and I select this first text area. I get that little box. That's a linkage box or overflow or overset box. It serves a couple purposes. It warns you if you've got overset text, and then it allows you to reflow that to a new text area, or you can reflow it to an existing text area. If there's not overset text, you can still link these 2 text areas together by clicking that little box. So if I click that box, my cursor changes to that, meaning, hey, we're gonna link these together. Look, it even has a little chain link on it to let you know. Anyone in my Tuesday, Thursday class talking about semiotics? There it is, right there, in action. All right, click on that. Now, these 2 are connected. I know this has a connection because its little square in the upper left-hand corner has this like a play button, essentially, right? And when I click on the original text area, it has that same one. You can also, I don't remember what the shortcut is, so view. There's a way you can view the connection here. I'm not going to get into that. But anyway, here's essentially what we've done. If I resize this text area, that text now reflows into that second text area. All right, let's save this, Command S real quick. Now, Monday we talked about columns. So if we, from the menu at the top here, choose Layout, Margins and Columns, we can change the space between this central live area, or honestly, this is one column right here, and these areas outside of that, that's called the margin. That's like, this is the safe area, and this is, hey, you're getting too close to the edge area. And so the margin allows us to have some kind of influence over our layout. It guides us where we're going to place things on the page. It allows us to line stuff up. But one big column isn't as helpful as 2, 3, or even 5 columns would be. So let's make 3 columns. Down here where it says columns, if I click that up arrow 2 more times, now I've got 3 columns. All right, click OK on that. And now I'm going to resize this text area here. And I'm going to resize this text area here so that they're the same width as these 2 rightmost columns. All right, so this columns, let's talk about guides. Guides are like columns, except they can be not only up and down, they can be across. So we've got vertical and horizontal guides. And guides further allow us to place things on the page. We're going to talk at some point in the future about grid-based layout. Again, for those of you in my Tuesday, Thursday class, the Gestalt theory is everything should line up, right? If things are logically belonging together, they should visually be near each other. And when you are designing anything, it should feel intentional. It should feel like you did it on purpose. And so right now, looking at this, that kind of looks a little wonky. Well, actually, that kind of looks cool because that little offset maybe we're getting designery. Okay, but the more content I get on here, the more messy it can be. And being able to have things that visually connect with other things is very important. Even if this is, somewhere else on the page, the fact that we have a line that draws down on the left edge of this text area and the left edge of this text area, those things feel connected. It feels like we did this thing on purpose, and that's super important when we're doing design. All right. So to create a guide, which is a different color than the margins and columns, we pull from this ruler. Now your ruler, if it doesn't indicate 0 to 8.5 across the top and 0 to 11 on the left-hand side, you might be in the picas designation and not inches. And so to change this to inches, where these 2 rulers meet here in the left upper corner, if we right-click on that little spot and just click inches. And then to create a guide, we drag from the ruler. So I'm going to drag down. And as I'm dragging, you'll see there's a little distance indicator on there in inches. It's showing the Y position is 2.934, 3.54. But it's not exactly, maybe if you're really, really careful, you might land on 4 inches. But if you hold down the Shift key, it constrains that to 1/4 inch jumps. So that allows you to get a lot more detailed, and we're going to go down to 4 inches down there, and then we're going to let go of the mouse and then let go of the Shift key. So we drag the guide down to 4 inches. Remember that guides can be locked. That includes columns and also actual guides. Right now, my guides are not locked, but my column guides are. What that means is that I can't accidentally mess up my column guides. I can't click on it and move it. But if I wanted to, under View, Grids and Guides, I can unclick the lock column guides, and then I can grab one of these guys and move it. I do not recommend that. At this point, anyway.
You set them at 4 inches?
There's three columns, and then we pulled the guide down to 4 inches from the top of the page.
Thank you.
Of course.
Can you make it a little bigger?
We need a screen over there. And I wish I could broadcast to that screen over there, because that would be so great for y'all facing that direction. But if we had another screen over here, that would be cool. Okay. So I'm going to now grab my text area and I'm going to pull it down to that guide so that both text areas top out on the guide. So they are aligned. And then my text areas are of varying lengths. Oh, I got these backwards actually. This one's over here. That one should be there. And so I'm going to pull this down so that it lines up. And you notice that it snaps to the height of that other text area. And this is kind of fun. If you select two text areas, and you accomplish that by clicking on the first one, holding on the Shift key, clicking on another thing, and now you've done what's called an additive select. So two things are selected, and I can click that the bottom edge of these things, and then size them so that they both scroll at the same time. Yay, two text areas. Let's save our work, Command S. Bless you. All right, now, real quick, character styles. Let's bring up our character styles. So if we go to type, character styles, what it does is it brings up a self-collapsing view of this grouping. There's three tabs here. There's a style tab, character style, and paragraph style tab. And they're inside this little icon. At some point Adobe did this and I thought, well, that's kind of cool, but a lot of times it's nice to be able to just see everything at once, especially since we have all of this space for one page we're not using. So I'm going to expand this view so that it doesn't auto collapse. Again, I'm going to hit that little double arrow, the two double less than signs right above this guy, and then it expands that out and makes our paste area a little bit smaller, but that's fine because we still have tons of real estate to work with. All right, I am recording this, so if something gets sideways for you, please raise your hand if you get totally lost. But know that you can always go back and watch this video once I post it. Yes, Ambria.
The character styles?
So I went to type, and then character or paragraph. Either one will open those up. And then it does this auto hide thing, and then I click the little double to expand it. Did that work for you?
Yes.
All right, perfect. Now, Monday we talked about paragraph styles. When we are creating a document in InDesign, for me anyway, there's an order of operations that I go through when working with type so that I don't run into issues later on. And what I like to do is I like to start with the paragraph style, because the paragraph style is kind of the overarching, controls all of it, and then our character style is more surgical. It's more specific. The specificity of the character styles is higher than the paragraph styles. Paragraph styles is kind of all of it. So I'm going to, with my text tool, I'm going to click in one of these text areas and then hit Command A so that all of the text is selected. And then I'm going to get Tim's face first.
No, I'll just create a thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
No worries. You have to be sorry. I mean, you really should read my mind and know I was in it over there. I'll let it go this time. So these are flowing into each other. One's flowing into that one. So when I click in here or I click in here with the text tool and I hit Command A, which is a shortcut to select everything, it selects all the text in both of these text areas. Now, if you had an issue flowing your text, Totally cool. We can fix that. Just know as long as one of those text areas has everything selected, we're good. The basic paragraph is the default. Notice it has these square brackets on it. That means, hey pal, let's do a new thing here. We're not going to work with that. That's what we give you by default. We're going to create a new style. So way down here at the bottom of this panel under paragraph styles, and make sure you have paragraph styles and not character styles selected. I'm going to hit that plus sign. And then once I click one time on paragraph style 1, all that text that is selected now has that paragraph style assigned to it. Bless you. Do you need a cough drop? Yes. Okay. So if I double click on paragraph style 1, I can rename it, and I'm going to call it body copy. This is my default baseline paragraph style. Now it's within this so that I can do things like change the basic character formats. Don't be intimidated by all of these options. There are so many things that I love this one. This one is, where'd it go? This one's fun to work with. Anyway, there's a lot of features here. Don't be intimidated by it. If you are, it's totally normal. It feels like a lot. I get lost in here sometimes. I've got to read through it to remember, like, what is it that I'm trying to do, even on basic stuff. That's the one thing I wish you could adjust here is I only want to use 3 of these. Can I just hide the rest of it? But it won't let me. So general, once we've renamed it, and for right now, we're not going to do any based on our next style stuff. We're going to go to basic character formats, and I'm going to change the font family from Minion Pro to Minion Variable Concept. It's a little fancier version of Minion. And then the font style from custom, I'm going to change it to regular.
Already.
Okay. Oh, I see. Of course. Leading, kerning, tracking, case position, all of these things affect how the text looks, basically. Your leading is the space between every line. Your kerning is the algorithm that's used to determine if you've got an O followed by an F, how much space goes in there versus an O followed by an O. The space is going to be different on a well-designed typeface anyway. And so you can go by metrics or optical. I like optical. I've heard metrics is better though. And then tracking is like a brute force, add extra space between the letters or tighten up the space between letters. So it kind of overrides the kerning, which is a very subtle, elegant way of adjusting letter spacing, and the tracking is when you're doing typesetting. I don't know if we don't really read newspapers anymore, but if you notice, if you ever happen to pick up a newspaper or magazine, and you're reading through, and you're like, that word looks squished right there. Have you ever seen that? That's what they've done. They've adjusted the tracking on that word so that that paragraph doesn't have a widow at the end or a hanging word all by itself. They'll manually adjust that. So, because if they apply the tracking to all of the text, the closer the letters get together, the harder it is for us to decide what's a word and what's a letter, or it's harder to track along with it. So you want to have some good breathing room, which this gives it to you, but if you need a little oomph, a little extra space, you will apply tracking to like 1 or 2 words at the end, or I've even done it to like a whole sentence, but it's at the end, so it's not annoying everybody. Okay, and then the case, normal case means whatever you hit shift on is going to be capital, but you can do things like sentence case, which capitalizes the first letter. You can do title case, which capitalizes the first letter of each word. There's a couple other ones. Position, I forget what that one is. Anyway, this won't be on the test. How many tests do I give? None tests. Though I might do another test. No. Yes, question?
What's the thing that's checked is called?
This one right here?
No, underneath all the options.
Oh, ligature.
Oh, ligatures?
Yeah,
Okay, so ligatures is, let's see, best way to describe this. Okay. Don't write on the screen. I told you the story about the screen, right? So they used to have a non-pull-down screen in this room. It was a smart screen, and so it was touch sensitive. It was a whiteboard, and someone wrote on it with a pen. It's not like a whiteboard where you can dry erase stuff on it. It is, you had to use a special kind of pen, and when you would draw on it, it would draw on the actual projector, so it would project what you were trying to draw. But someone, and it wasn't me, used an actual pen on it, and then we couldn't ever erase it, so they just went with a regular screen, which is fine. Okay, so ligature is, there are certain letters, let's see, use a lowercase f. Okay, what letter is that? F. But have you ever seen that letter before?
Yeah,
What letter is that?
also F.
That's also F. That is a ligature. Ligature is often when you have unique characters nearby, you will engage the ligature. And so ligatures means if that typeface has specific fancy characters to replace the normal character in certain instances of letter proximity, it will do that. And when you disable ligatures, it's just going to be regular typeface. It's going to be all the main characters that you're used to seeing. Did that help? Yes, Mr. C. Thank you so much. Oh, you're welcome. Okay. Okay, so, I mean, while we're talking about it, let's talk about the rest of these. No break. If I enable no break, oh, I've gone off the deep end. Never mind. We understand what underline and strike through are, right?
Yeah. What's strike through?
Strike through is where it draws a line through the text.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, kind of. If you ever looked at a legal document that's in going back and forth, the attorneys will strike through saying this goes away. Yeah, void this part of the contract. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and click OK. This review is turning into an actual lecture. Okay, so now let's talk about character styles. If I choose my text tool and I drag select, just do like 5 words anywhere in either column. And we're going to open up the character styles. And while those 5 words are selected, my context menu, the context of what I'm doing is changed. So the very top menu now gives me different options. When I have the selection tool, I don't see things like the typeface, the font options, kerning. None of that stuff shows up. I can't do alignment or anything like that. It's only because the text tool is selected, the context of that thing changes because we're doing something different. Specifically, when I select something now I've got something to work with. Without anything selected, when I make those changes, they won't show up anywhere until I start a new text area or start typing something. Then they'll be applied. But because I have this text selected, I can do stuff like I can change the color if I want to. I can make it bold. I can stretch it out. I can make it italics. I can do strike through. All of that stuff can exist on those words there without changing the whole style of all the other paragraphs. So the character is for specific surgical implementation of a specific point in the text that we're going to make changes to. And for a document like this, a one-pager, you might not need to create styles. You might just have one highlight and then you just change it, set the color, and you're done with it, right? But InDesign is great for multi-page. That's what it's designed for. So if you've got 45 pages, having a style for a particular highlight, even something as simple as just changing the color of the text is very, very helpful because now you don't have to go through and select all the text if that color decides to be changed. Like if your art director says, hey, we need to change this red to blue. So we're going to create a character style. Yes?
So if you highlighted all, like just a section of a paragraph, but then you hit the paragraph style, would it do the whole paragraph change?
If you created a new if you were on the paragraph tab and you created a new paragraph, it would apply to that paragraph where that selection was, from Pilcrow to Pilcrow, yeah. So on character styles, we're gonna create a new character style. So make sure your character styles tab is up, hit that plus sign, click on character style 1, now it's applied, and then double click on it, and we're gonna rename this highlight. Let me show you something real quick too. Sometimes you might double click on this and it opens this window, and sometimes it might end up with that. What happens when you do that? Well, if that's happening, you're either not double clicking fast enough, or you could double click on the area that's not the word, and that will open up the options panel. And we're gonna call this highlight.
Call it what?
Highlight. Highlight. If I had hair, I would probably have highlights. I used to have, did you know I had long hair down to my shoulders in my 20s? Sorry, just time travel for a sec there. All right, so back to class. All right, so style name, highlight, we're gonna leave this stuff based on, all that stuff is good how it is. Basic character formats. Now here's where we can change the font family. However, we don't wanna do that because the paragraph carries the baseline typeface. But what we could do is change the style. As long as you don't click the typeface drop down or font family, should say typeface, stupid Adobe, but as long as it says nothing here, this will inherit whatever the paragraph has been set to behind it. If you change this, the paragraph style gets overwritten by the character style. So in terms of specificity, those of you who've taken any class that talks about CSS, talking about specificity in web design, style sheets apply specific things and override other things, but sometimes things can't be overridden because another thing has more specificity. So this character style has ownership of that character that's selected. So as long as we leave this blank, it will inherit from the paragraph. But what we want to do here is let's change this. Let's do, we got a lot of options. Let's try semi-extended, or just do whatever one you want. Make sure preview is engaged. Now it might not do anything. Oh, because it doesn't, it gives you everything. Okay, let's just look for these guys right here. Thin, let's go to bold. Just regular old garden variety bold. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. So I know that minion variable does not have all of these options. So what that's telling me is that, like, what the flip is all that? Nobody knows that. I know that that doesn't exist in the minion variable typeface. And so what that tells me is that InDesign is giving you a font style options for any possible font that you could possibly use, which is dangerous because this one right here, inline, I've never used that. And that might not exist in our minion variable, and so it won't have any effect. But these guys right here, the basic ones, bold, black, ultra black, light, italic, those are pretty safe and will be found in that minion variable typeface. That's why I chose the minion variable typeface, because it has a lot of options. But bold is the one we want. All right, let's do this next thing here now. Let's do character color. And we're gonna use magenta. All right, and once we're done, go ahead and click OK. And then go back to your selection tool, and now you'll see that text is bold and has a color on it. So with your text tool, let's drag select a few other words. Somewhere else. And then just click on the highlight character style and it will apply. Okay. So I was going to go over the guide creator, but I think we're going to save that for next week. I think this is a good place. We're at 3 o'clock, and I have talked for way too long. Save your work, Command S. And then you're going to export this as a PDF. All the default settings are fine. And then you'll submit that PDF to the assignment.